we're working on developing an option for offline mode so that you can still run the point of sale if you've lost connection on your mobile device. For the starting point here, I'm going to be showing some network activity here. We in the settings right now, but we're going to move this. We're considering moving this button to a different location here. We have this option to cache offline data for the point of sale. And so you can click this. And we can see a whole bunch of activities going on here, and we're grabbing parts by the thousand. We're grabbing customers. We're grabbing some control records, and we're going to save those all locally. Just going to let this finish a little bit. I think there's 12,000 parts in our test data around there.
And the idea is to allow them to be able to build out an order without having to ping the system in real time for the customer information or inventory information. So they just have the stale cached version from that morning, and then they'll save their draft order locally. I'm getting ahead of the demonstration here between what Alex can show you and what Christian can show you, but they basically synchronize those orders to the system later on. So you still have the final save later on that's validating things against the system, the state of things.
Yeah, and just to kind of show off the caching, so we do have 3,600 prices records, 11,700 parts records, almost 1,200 customers, and then a couple control records here. And so for our experiment, and fingers crossed, we'll force our browser to set itself as offline. If you get the point of sale, so you will still get these right now. We'll have to suppress these. You know, if it knows it's offline, it doesn't necessarily need to say we couldn't get all of the information yet. We can do a search for a customer here. Got a few results. We can do load all customers as well. So we have a whole bunch of customers available. Back to my testing customer. Yep. Is this the one where it doesn't like it? Okay. So we do still have a couple hiccups that we're working through here. So that might be one of them. There's a couple things that it tries to load still. It's trying to get some assets before it can move on. So we are looking into that. And it's like if you view the page once, it'll work the rest of the time offline. And we just kind of still investigating that. So set ourselves back to offline mode for now. And say search for brush. Get a bunch of results, and you can see clear the network activity. So we'll show it again. Wire. You can see no network activity occurred there. So we're pulling all of this from our local cache. And then you can proceed to add things or whatever else you'd like to do without any network activity. So yeah, still a couple little things that we're working through and some designs to work through here, but this is our first pass for the offline mode for caching of data for point of sale.
Now going to be able to store orders, in conjunction with the offline mode. So we added a tab here, and I've already created two. This is still a work in progress, so bear with me. So what I'll do is I'll generate a new order and show you sort of the flow. So we'll add some parts, create the order, we'll select the type, and then the PO number. And then once you hit confirm order, you'll now be prompted to save the order as a draft. And then once you do that, it'll populate this list here. And then we also timestamp it so you could see when it was last created. And then so one thing I'll do is I'll load it. And so what it does is it brings back in the parts, and it populates some of the information that you saw here. It was the same PO number. This is still getting all wired up, still a work in progress. There's some things that still don't work, like the signature and address, but that's still a work in progress, and we're hoping to get all of these things resolved soon. Go ahead and flip to our sales order module. We've made quite a few updates to that. I'll go ahead and open a current order. So we've updated the sort of tab situation. We've wired up our ship to tax credit, tracking, coupons, attachments. I could go ahead and show you. This is our sort of new layout for all our shipping information. This right here is the address. And if you wanted to update the address, we wired up a button to show if anything is part of the customers. I'll actually pick a better customer, actually, sorry. Just give me one moment. This customer in particular, oh no, this did not work. My mistake. Give me 1 second. This is still a work in progress as we're continuing to wire things up. So I'll just generate a new order. My apologies for a customer that has a little bit more information wired up. So I will add a part and then move to the ship tax credit. And then here it'll populate the first item in the ship sequence, which is ship sequence 20. And then as you can see, you could pick from any of these in their current ship to addresses that are defined in their customer record. I'll go ahead and pick a different one. And as you can see, it just populated here. And we have all our carrier information, like our ship via, ship account, freight code, things like that. We're still wiring up our tax information, but soon you'll be able to hit our endpoint of the S tax in Rover. And we're also working with other implementations on wiring that up as well. Some of the other tabs include tracking. If this order had any tracking information, it would populate here, as well as the service code and freight amount. Same situation with coupons. We also have our attachments as part of sales orders. So if you wanted to add any attachments, you'd be able to do so here. So currently we're just continuing to wire up all of the sales order information. There is quite a bit, and we're sort of discovering little pieces that need adjustments as we're going through. So this is still a work in progress. But as you can see, there's been a lot of progress since the beginning, and yeah, I think it's coming along well.
Yeah, thanks, Christian.
I'll be showing off just the progress that we've made on the production scheduling module. I believe we showed this in a previous demo day, but at the time it was using mock data. So there are two tab interfaces here, one that will list all work orders on the system. This has been, again, adjusted to actually call the APIs and pull live data. There's paging, filtering, just like we have on the various other pieces of the system. One thing that we're going to continue to add here is currently when you click on a work order, it's popping up in a modal window. We're going to switch that to use the tabbed interface that Christian was just showing, where you can open multiple work orders and they will pop into another tab layer here at the top. So that should be more flexible for hopping back and forth between various work orders. But then again, on the scheduling tab, we have the ability to drag and drop these items onto the Gantt chart view and then move them around. We've also made some just cleanup improvements into how this works when you're looking at wider time frames. So if you break it out into a much wider time frame, there's a scroll view here, and it locks in the work centers. They're listed as the rows of the Gantt chart. So then as you scroll through, you eventually get to your items, and you can drag and drop them pretty significantly here back and forward in time. There's still a few bugs that we're working out. When you click on a given item that has been scheduled, you get some limited ability to make changes through a modal interface here as well. We did that so that this would function well either on a desktop where you have a mouse, or if you're on a touch type device where you need to be clicking to interact. So for example, we should be able to, oh, I lied. We can't move it to the other, we'd have to delete it here. Let me show that. So you have the ability to drag and drop to schedule it, or you can also click here and choose the work center that you want to move it to and click add. So it should be fully functional on both touch devices and desktops. So yeah, we're working on some cleanup here, but this is getting pretty close to being in a state that the particular customer that was asking for this functionality should be able to start interacting with it and then give us some feedback on additional items that they need. So that's it for production scheduling.
What I'm gonna show you guys is being able to use a stored credit card or ACH account to pay for an invoice. So this is from the portal. And it's pretty much the same flow. The only difference is here you see the existing credit card. So you can just select one and use that credit card. And then you can also opt to, That's not working right now. I don't know why. Again, yeah, also a work in progress. But that would basically bring up the iframe. Let me see if I can just refresh that. Yeah, there we go. So, right, so if we opt to use a new card, we can go ahead and enter whatever card number we have. And validate it, just like you would have, you know, in the prior version of this payment card, and then you can opt to save the credit card for future use or not. So that just depends. And then you can also name the credit card. So in all caps, because I'm coding in PIC. So that's what that does there. And then you can go ahead and submit that payment. And pay by e-check is kind of the same thing. So you can select an account, or you can use a new account and enter that account number. And again, you can save the account for future use, or you can opt not to, either one. So that is pretty much it.
Thanks. So this is it's hitting the portal first, but you'll also be making these same changes to the employee side. So
Yeah.
Nicole, right, if you were catching a call from a customer looking to pay by a card they'd previously paid with, you'd be able to select from that versus having to recollect the card information or bank account information from them. This is also coming with some changes to Rover on the ERP side, just around the handling of credit card and ACH tokens for presentment here and this purpose, and also just for how that stuff gets used to the system. So this is a nice full stack project. Front end stuff isn't too crazy, but some core standard product changes here too that are required, and broken record status. But again, we're driving on this due to some tight customer timelines here. So got a recent Rover Pay adopter who is, in their words, as soon as we have the ability to pay by card or account on file on the web, they're going to ditch using the desktop application for payment entry completely. Because actually there's a very nice quality of life benefit to doing payment entry through the web, which is when you're paying multiple invoices, you can just do that in one step. Versus if you were doing it through the desktop, you're having to create the credit to the account and then go back and apply the credit across the invoices you want them to be applied towards. So it's kind of been a cool progression of things. We'll see a nice turning point, hopefully, for Rover Pay adopters, portal adopters, and people that are starting to pick up the web access from this accounting and collections perspective. It's a nice quality of life feature.